All right. Well, we have some wonderful hellos. We have Maret is with us. We have a hello to everyone from Tanisha Brandon Felder. I'm going to scroll down. Tanisha is joining from Shoreline School District, lives in Des Moines, and has learned that young people are amazing. Jill Mutchison joining us from Fostering Together in Snohomish, learned that connecting comes before content. Glad to be connected with you. Stacy Dim, sorry, we'll come back to you, Stacy. We have Josh Sado from Hasenberg from Catholic Community Services Youth Tutoring Program. We have Charo Portaro from the Director of Education at Cielo, which is down in Olympia. Meret is with us from Renton with Building Changes. I've learned most recently from my 9-month-old how observant and adventurous she is at an early age. Those wide open eyes and open minds are so much fun. We've got Stacy Dim from the Arc of Washington State and our former OEO director. Welcome. We've got joining from Sammamish, working in North Shore School District. Srinivas, I apologize for my pronunciation, learning that young people are resilient. We've got Deborah Flanagan from Treehouse, learned that our young people are very resilient. Sean Haynes from Shoreline, a kid once told me being nice is fun. Awesome. We got Josh has shared that I learned kids usually know what they need better than the adults. Yes. Kate Frazier from North Thurston. We've got Kathy Jensen from Northwest Justice Project from all the way in Spokane. Isn't that the nice thing about Zoom? We're from all across the state here together. Alex Hamasaki from Rep. Ty's office in the 41st Legislative District. Riley Moose, the staff attorney at Team Child down in Tacoma, learned that young people are in the best position to know what they need and want in their own lives. From learning from kids, humor, and speaking your truth. Thanks, Kate. Ruth Bettner, she, her, hers from Youth Tutoring Program, Catholic Community Services for West Seattle, learned that youth respond well when their mentors show a willingness to be vulnerable. Yes, we do not become perfect just by becoming adults, right? And we've got someone from Snoqualmie Valley PTSA, Special Ed and Disability Community. Young people are awesome. That's Sarah Lichtenberger. Thanks, Sarah. Jerry Clark from PAVE. Relationships are more motivating than services. And Indra Galang, Education Program Coordinator at Cielo. Kids show me to look at the fun things in life. And we've got Nikki Soli from the Arc of Snohomish County. Learning from my 3 kids, there are many different ways to feel, and it changes week to week. Yes. From Thurston County, Grays Harbor, Pacific County's got Andy Irvin with Treehouse. Got someone from Bellingham, how important the connection is between children and their classroom teacher. We've got Anita Ahumada, Commission on Hispanic Affairs and member of the OSPI Language Access Task Force.
I think it's great. I'm reading the comments on the side, and we should probably get started with introductions, and people can feel free to use the chat to respond to one another too and to keep a conversation going. So I'm Carrie Basas. I'm the director of the Governor's Office of the Education Ombuds. I use she, her pronouns. This is my daughter, Dasha. How old are you, Dash?
I'm 11.
Where do you go to school?
Tops.
Tops.
K-8.
K-8 in Seattle. So we have a 5th grader with us who had classes this morning. And we're thanking you for coming. We really debated whether or not we should continue having a webinar today because we know how all of us are torn in multiple directions and experiencing great stress during this time. But we also realized we need to do a strategic plan for the next 3 years. And we could be entering a new normal, whatever that is. And our services need to support families and schools and students in the best ways that we can. So we decided to move forward and just hoped people who would be able to join us could. Our original idea was to do this in person with different community groups, crash some family meetings, and we got a few of those things done before COVID hit. So today is going to be really interactive. I'm going to go a little bit over what OEO, the Governor's Office of the Education Ombuds, does. And my team is here to facilitate with me because we're going to go into breakout rooms and get your ideas for what we can do to improve our services and what your vision is for K-12 schools. So does my team want to introduce itself? We could start with our senior ombuds, Sam, and then Rose.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Sam Blazina here in Little Ellensburg on the east side of the mountains, and I'm really glad to be here today and be able to have a conversation with you.
Good morning. My name is Rose Spidell. I'm one of the senior education ombuds, and I'm joining from Seattle, my son's bedroom.
Good morning. My name is Yordana Skabramlak, and I'm the Associate Education Ombuds here at OEO. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for balancing what you need to do to be here today. We appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Palmquist. I'm the Media and Database Coordinator for OEO.
Hi, and my name is Sean Haynes here from Shoreline, and I'm the Community Outreach Specialist here at the OEO.
We're missing one of our colleagues today. She couldn't join us, and I know she's back.
Hi, my name is Patricia. I am a member of the PTSA at Redmond Middle School.
Oh, great. Welcome. Thank you. So we're going to move into talking a little bit about what the Office of the Education Ombuds does. So we were founded in 2006 to work with families, communities, and schools to navigate educational challenges and increase collaborative problem solving so that every student can participate in and benefit from public K-12 education in Washington. And we have a really collaborative approach. And so here is a picture of people of different races, ages, and backgrounds with their hands over top of one another, really showing some collaboration and unity. But we know that creative problem solving is really hard when there's conflict and opportunity gaps in our schools. We work statewide, and as you saw, there's 7 of us, not all full-time, but we have 3 roles. And so our buckets of work are over here on this map. We have $703,000 a year, which is not a lot as a state agency. And that's another reason why we wanted to join with you and figure out how can we use those resources in a way that really makes sense for your families and students and the work that you're trying to accomplish. And then, so we really focus on problem solving. Our motto is we listen, we inform, we help solve problems. We do training and outreach, and we are involved in policy work. So statewide committees, regional committees, and task forces focused on things like the opportunity gap, language access. We're involved with the ESSA implementation planning as well. So we're really active. And so it's a split in our office about how we can have an influence to go from the individual stories and voices to really statewide changes. We like to emphasize that we're independent, informal, and impartial. So we're under the governor's office, which gives us a chance to share families and students and teacher stories with policymakers, but it keeps us separate from OSPI, the Superintendent of Public Instruction, so that we can see things through a fresh and impartial lens. And all of our work is free and confidential. And of course, we use a language access line. And we're not able to investigate, enforce, or be lawyers or promise certain outcomes. We have a link in these slides, which are posted on our website, to our current strategic plan. And if you're joining us now, I mentioned that we're going into our strategic planning for 3 years. So that's why you're joining us here today, which we really appreciate. And go. We have a short video on our website, which I won't play today. It's in English and Spanish, which goes over our services. And it's a good thing to share with other folks. So my co-host, who will not work for very long, just for a couple of scoops of ice cream, do you want to help ask this question and people can respond in the chat?
Yeah. When do you think positively about the future of schools? What's one more word that you like to be able to use?
Yeah, so there's so many things that we see sometimes, especially if we're supporting families and students. I know a number of people are here from nonprofits. It doesn't mean that we just have one role. Policymakers are really interested. We're all interested in what can we learn from things that aren't necessarily working well, and what can we learn from things that are working well? We need to keep the good parts, especially in a time of innovation. Do you want to hang out or no? No, I lost my daughter Dasha, but it's okay. I don't pay very well. Thank you. Okay. So,
Carrie, we are getting lots of words and ideas coming in. We've got lots of thoughts on inclusive, innovative, equitable. We've got healthy, activist, welcoming to all, hope, family-centered, activist and supporting democracy. We've got a, just would say again, we've got lots and lots of inclusive, innovative, equitable, student-centered, compassionate.
Yeah, I think those are wonderful. So we all have our roles in supporting that in schools. And I know that that's one of the things that brings us forward in doing this work, really taking it back to focusing on students and bringing together families and schools to do that.
Yeah, and we've got kindness and student-led, student-centered, cultural compassion, equity. Yes, it's focused on students, equitable, inclusive, kind. That's a place I'd like to be.
Yeah, kindness. We could use a lot of kindness. And I know people are extending that to one another right now, but many people feel isolated and confused about what things are going on and how to support their students. Before I ask, we break into small groups today. Oh, growth mindset too, and accessibility. So before we break into small groups today, I just wanted to answer any questions. You could put them in the chat too that you might have about our work, just to get some clarification before we have a discussion that's focused on this question that I've put up here. So you can start thinking about it as well, and we'll see if we have questions. But our main question for today, and it was really hard for us as a team to limit it to one question in our design of our strategic plan, is how can we best use our resources to support racial equity, inclusion, and positive outcomes for K-12 students? Our mission is K-12 focused when the legislature founded us to work on opportunity gaps. And so we always have to keep coming back to that and think about that in the context of our 3 buckets of work of casework and conflict resolution, outreach, as well as policy leadership. Does anybody have any questions about what we do, or if you need some clarification before we go into groups with our OEO facilitators? So a question about why not students in 18 to 21 programs? And that's a really interesting question. And why not students in preschool, in early learning? So 14 years ago, the legislature decided K-12. There are some state higher ed ombuds at our state universities that work in different roles than us sometimes in how they do their work. And so we haven't really, at that time, 14 years ago, weren't really thinking about the pipeline. Someone asked, and I see Stephanie posted, about resources. These resources will be available online too, and they are up on our website now. And so, and yeah, it's artificial, as Jesse was saying, to cut off at K-12. Everyone needs support at that level, and we kind of decide that that is arbitrary. I see that there is a question about, are we a resource for schools or families, or both? And we're a resource for schools, families, students, community organizers, professionals in the community. We hear from doctors, social workers, a real range, nonprofit leaders. And what we do is we look at a particular concern or question and ask, does this really fit with how schools should be operating? Or are there ways that we can coach families and schools to come to some sort of collaborative resolution? Sometimes people call us or email us, and they just want to know how something should work. But in many of our cases, people call us and they say that they've had a breakdown in communication and they've had a breakdown in trust. And as many of you pointed out, they've had a breakdown in hope for their student. and they want to know how to get students back on track. And that could be students who are out of school right now. It could be students who are receiving special education, students who have been disciplined. We will answer questions and help with any K-12 issue that comes up. And if we get calls about early learning or higher ed, we make the appropriate referrals there, but we are specifically funded to work on K-12. And so the impartiality really comes out for us, and just looking at what is fair in the system, how should things be operating, and what problem solving supports can we offer. All of our work is confidential. I know sometimes people worry that if they call us, we'll immediately call the school or we'll call the family. And so we get permission before reaching out to anyone else in a particular concern. So sometimes families call us and no one knows that they got some advice or support there. Would any of the ombuds like to add to that piece about what the work looks like?
Thanks, Carrie. This is Rose, and I just want to do one quick clarification. We are K-12, so like Carrie said, the early learning world, we look over to our colleagues at Department of Children, Youth, and Families, which used to be Department of Early Learning. For the post-secondary college world, we look to college. But kids who are still 18 to 21 and are accessing services through our, we call them the K-12 public schools, those are definitely well within the universe of kids and families that we serve. We know any student in our state, if they need until they're 21 to graduate high school, they get it. That's the free public education. And so, yeah, like Carrie said, we work with families, with schools, with teams, supporting kids in that K to 12, but that includes kids who are finishing up with a few extra years before moving away from our public school system there.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, Rose. I kind of went into the higher ed realm rather than thinking about that question about transition programs. But I know that that is a passion of our team. And certainly that's a big issue that's coming up right now as we're thinking what's realistic, what's even possible right now to support that when people are doing social distancing right now. So one thing I want to do is I want to move us into breakout rooms for the next 20 minutes. We really want this to be interactive. So I'll be honest with you. I know that a lot of people drop out of an online conversation when the breakout rooms come up, but this is the most important part to us as a team because we know what we do, but we really need your ideas for how to move forward and to really think about that those resources and that mission that we have. So I would love for you to participate in those breakout rooms. The question is here. There's a link for the survey, which your facilitators will put in your room as well. And we'll spend 20 minutes there. You can participate in the way that is comfortable to you. So if you want to keep your video off and your audio off and chat, or you want to do a mix, it would be great if you feel like sharing your voice and your image today, but we understand that you could be sitting in your car for a quiet space. So before I break us into these rooms, could anyone, if you need the closed captionist or would like the closed captionist to go into the room with you, just put it over here in the chat. You don't have to explain why, but I just want to make sure that the captionist goes into the right room and so I'll just wait a minute for anybody. And if you end up needing to move to a room where the captionist goes, just let me know and we'll make that happen.
A couple technical points. I think you have the option to chat to just Carrie Basas if you would like to just chat to her individually about wanting to move in with closed captioning. The other thing is, Carrie, we are not going to be recording the breakout room sessions, right? So each of us facilitating will take some notes and we'll capture your ideas. But that won't be recorded if that helps you feel a little less shy about opening your video or your mic.
Yeah, and so it would be recorded if anyone stayed in the main room. So to give people a space to talk, I will just go into a small breakout room with you all too. And maybe Stephanie can monitor if anybody comes in late. I know we have some people who will come in a little bit later. So I'm going to assign you to breakout rooms. If you've been on breakout rooms in Zoom, accept the invitation to move to the breakout room, and your facilitator will share the questions again.
I hope everyone enjoyed the breakout room sessions. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. I hope everyone did too. I'm bringing up the PowerPoint again. Sorry about that. Yeah, we had a good conversation in our room, and as always, not enough time, right? But it was really good to start getting people's ideas about where we should be heading with our work. And stop that and share this. There we go. Feel like I'm DJing our Zoom. Okay. Let's, we are going to, I want to share this. You're all back to seeing my video again. Okay. Great. So I wanted to let you know, and we'll send this out to in our follow-up, that we have our surveys available in other languages. If families access our website or teachers in their native language, and the browser picks that up, so they'll get a version of the website in their language. So if you go to our website and you think, "This is only in English," it will be based on your browser settings, looking at that. But we have those. And I just wanted to take a moment to ask you, we have people here from many different roles and perspectives. What are some themes that came up? I can ask the facilitators to each share a theme, but if anybody wants to type in the chat too, that would be great, about themes that came up in your discussion. And then we're going to wrap up with a quick question about how we can support you during this time too, because I know that came up in our group discussion. So I'm not going to capture everything for my group discussion, but we had some discussion about what happens to students right now in transition. What were our transition programs like before? What is school going to look like for every student coming back? And what have we seen that's kind of worked for some of our students that hasn't? The traditional model has not. We talked about the need for partnership with community organizations for trust, and as well as making systems change, and that importance of relationship. And then student voice was another theme that came up. So I know I didn't grab all the great ideas, and we didn't get to everybody, which made me sad, but any of the other facilitators want to share quickly what things look like in their groups?
Sure, I can go next, Carrie. I had a wonderful group of leaders. We talked about a lot of things, but it seemed to me that the theme that came up was about creating that sense of self-advocacy and leadership within the districts for these topics. So basically building leadership within the school districts, have students be the voice, so that there's that, it's all incumbent of all of these issues. If students can be their own voice, if they're accepted, their leadership, what their success would look like. So that was one of the main themes that came up. We discussed, you know, what is really inclusion and what is success, what is a positive outcome. And positive outcome doesn't necessarily mean graduation, right? And I think we've kind of touched that with the Levers data in students with disabilities, but globally, what is a positive outcome? So we had a discussion about that. Positive doesn't necessarily mean graduating. It means that the student they were meaningfully involved, that they were leaders in their own school, that they were able to develop some sense of belonging, self-determination, those kinds of things.
That's great. Who wants to go next?
Go ahead.
I'll mention some things. Some of the main concerns we saw in our group were some concerns having to do with the quality of interpretation involving schools. Some certifications that the state offers, whether that's medical or legal, don't necessarily make an interpreter be proficient in the school environment. Some ideas were to develop glossaries, especially for all those different terms that are different in each country and in each part of a country, sometimes even And then we also saw a lot of concerns about discipline and inclusion, and about the vagueness of some WACs, especially around the words may and should being in some WACs. Mm-hmm.
Great, that's helpful to hear too. I saw a comment about language access and having qualified interpreters as well. Who wants to go next?
I think it's me, yeah. Let's see. So we talked about a lot of stuff. There was a lot of great conversation that happened. Sean, you just mentioned a few of that. So having terminology that is easily understood by parents, and this would be both for families who maybe aren't familiar with the K-12 school system because they're new here, or it could be for families who've been here for generations, but due to a lack of inclusion, they haven't had the opportunities like some others, and just need terms to be more, not so legal, more friendly, so that there is easier communication. We also talked about as important as it is to share information with families about their rights, about how the school system works and how to advocate for their students. It's also equally important to connect with educators and also do as best as we can as an organization to increase empathy and understanding so that they're better able to work with diverse communities. So that's something that also came up. Yes, for sure, train families to know about their rights and information about the school system, but also connect with educators also. What else did we talk about? There was a lot that we talked about, but those are just a couple of the things that came up in our group.
Right. Can I jump in, Carrie?
Go for it. Yeah.
Well, we had a great conversation. A lot of it, what I was taking away, and I'm not going to capture all of it, but an idea of continuing to think about how to do some proactive work around discussions of equity, racial justice, disability justice, doing that in partnership with school districts and communities, kind of figuring out where is a community and what is the understanding of racial equity, looking at issues of intersectionality and being part of that kind of building conversation. We also heard some, one way that one of the resources that has been helpful for folks is the 1 out of 5 project, which allows communities to have and engage and start a conversation around what it means to be a disability. And having those in at least English and Spanish was a great benefit to give that opening for conversation to more folks with language access. Language access and sort of understanding the different cultural contexts also came up, in particular also relating to mental health, which was identified by several folks as an area of need for attention within the broader school community. Mental health, understanding impacts of trauma, including the impact of trauma from what we're all currently experiencing, and how can we as OEO and members of the community encourage conversations that help educators, families, students appreciate that context and look at, instead of why is this a difficult kid, what has been the difficult context there. So just to summarize, proactive, doing some of those workshops and trainings and connecting in partnership, especially with districts that are eager to do some of that proactive work. Let families know what their rights are and what they can ask for, and also work with schools on understanding that the way we ask a question about mental health especially, and someone shared, if you ask that question and use a child as an interpreter, it can really end a conversation before it begins on something that's so critical. So looking at those issues. And I know there's more, but I'll stop there.
Well, and one thing that we wanted to get to, I know came up in my discussion group and maybe in the other discussion groups, and we don't have the time to chat as a group about it, but we want to encourage you to reach out to us if you need some supports, especially right now, but anytime. And we know this is a very difficult time to kind of wade through, and there's always new guidance, and districts are being asked to be quite innovative, and parents are too. And so We just want to be of support to you, and sometimes being of support is referring you to another resource that's outside of education too. If you're trying to figure out employment benefits or health supports or anything like that, feel free to refer folks to us. We also have, we just want to remind you, if you can, don't worry about duplicating. You can put your response in our SurveyMonkey link too, because we ask you about your role there and where you're from, and we like to collect that information too. So I wanted to let you know, because people have conversations with other people all the time, and it's a warm fuzzy and nothing comes from it, that we, our plan is this. We have a strategic plan that we need to finish and publish by the beginning of September. So we're looking at the feedback that we've had from various events, and we're talking about it as a team to help set our priorities and our 3 buckets of work. And also think about what learning needs to happen on our team and professional development. And if we ever have vacancies, what that is going to look like in terms of hiring. So all these things are feeding into our discussions, and we'll keep you updated. This isn't going to go into the void. So I want to thank you all for coming today and joining us. It was a really fun discussion, and I wish we had a couple hours, but we don't.
Carrie?
So, yeah.
Can I do a shameless plug for funding availability for school districts and community-based organization right now?
Sure.
I am putting in the chat box. These are philanthropy dollars to support your school districts and your community organizations, support students. This is intervention and prevention funds. And so please take a look at it at the link. I want to respect everyone's time. So I'm rushing through it. If you have any questions, feel free to go and connect with me from our website. And again, this is statewide funds, philanthropy dollars, unrestricted dollars to support students and communities, youth and young adults during this time.
And Jerry Ann reminds us to also please complete the census, which is true. Please complete the census.
A good one too, yes.
Looking for statewide resources, they're at coronavirus.wa.gov right now too. So thank you so much for joining us. I know our captionist needs to go, so please reach out. We're thinking about all of you and realizing the stress that you're under, and let us know about good things that are happening too that we can share with others. So take care, be well, and we'll see you next time. Bye.